Hey families, All Together Now. All Together Now is Flatiron's first summer program. Faith, family, and fun. Intentionally created with you and your family in mind. It's available in July.
Clap your hands and wave your arms, play the drums and then rock the guitar. So clap your hands and wave your arms. You can play the drums and then rock the guitar. We sing Hosanna, 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 Hosanna. Everybody praise the Lord. Everybody praise the Lord. Everybody praise the Lord. Everybody praise the Lord. So clap your hands and wave your arms, play the drums, and then rock the guitar. Oh, clap your hands and wave your arms. You can play the drums, and then rock the guitar. We sing Hosanna, 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 Hosanna.
I've got a hero and I've got a friend. I want every day to be so much like him. I want to be like he wants me to be, and hear him say that he's so proud of me. Oh, wanna be more like Jesus. Oh, gonna be more like him. Oh, wanna be more like Jesus. Oh, wanna be more like him. His love is so deep and his love is so wide. His love is so good I can't keep it inside. I want to give him my hands and my feet, to love and to serve everyone that I meet. Come on. Oh, wanna love more like Jesus. Oh, wanna love more like him. Oh, wanna love more like Jesus. Oh, gonna love more like him. Come on, come on.
Are you guys having a killer time? Do the chickens have large talons?
He's in my heart and it's hard to believe the things that can happen that we can achieve. He gives me power without and within to live a life that is pleasing to him. Oh, wanna live more like Jesus. Oh, gonna live more like him. Oh, wanna live more like Jesus. Oh, gonna live more like him. See, I wanna be a hero, not just another zero who is wasting all away, just living for the day, living for the self, putting God on the shelf. No way, they live their own way. Yeah, boy. I it real life. Come on, you all, let's rewrite the wrong. All I wanna do is make the rescues the best years all life long. Oh, wanna be more like Jesus. Oh, gonna be more like him. Oh, wanna be more like Jesus. Oh, wanna be more like him. Oh, wanna be just like Jesus. Oh, gonna be just like him. Oh, gonna be just like Jesus. Oh, gonna be just like him. Word.
Peace out.
A long time ago, a man named Jonah was God's prophet. A prophet is someone who gets a message from God and tells all the people what God said. One day, God came and gave Jonah a message he didn't like. He said, "Jonah, go to Nineveh." God said he wanted Jonah to tell the people there that God loved them. But Jonah did not want to go there and give them the message. Jonah didn't love the people of Nineveh. They weren't very nice people, and they were making some bad choices. So, Jonah made a bad choice too, and he did not obey God. Instead, he ran all the way down to the ocean and sailed away on a ship, going as far away from Nineveh as possible. But pretty soon, a big storm started blowing that ship all around on the ocean. The sailors were afraid the ship would sink. They started throwing things overboard to make the ship lighter. Finally, they threw Jonah overboard. As soon as he splashed into the water, the ocean became calm. Jonah sank down, 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 down into the water. All kinds of fishes swam by him. They were probably wondering what Jonah was doing down there. Jonah was wondering too. But just when Jonah thought he would drown in the ocean, God sent a gigantic fish swimming over to him. That big fish opened his mouth and gulped Jonah right up. He swallowed Jonah whole. It was dark inside the fish, but Jonah could breathe again. It was smelly in that fish belly too, but Jonah didn't think much about any of that. He just started praying to God. From inside the fish, Jonah thanked God for saving him from the storm and from drowning. He thanked God for loving everyone and giving people second chances, even him. Jonah sat inside that fish for a whole day and a whole night. When he woke up, he was still in the fish. Jonah sat in that fish another whole day and another whole night. For 3 days, Jonah stayed in that fish. That's a long time to be hanging out in a dark, smelly fish. I bet Jonah was wondering if he would ever get out of there. Uh-oh, Jonah.
Through you the blind will see, through you the mute will sing, through you the dead will rise, through you our hearts will praise, through you the darkness flees, through you my heart screams I am free.
Sometimes life can be really scary or hard or sad, and we have no idea why things are happening exactly the way they are. We know that God is good, but sometimes it can be really hard to see the big picture of what God is doing. Sometimes when I feel like that, it helps me to come out here and look at the stars. Have you ever wondered exactly what the stars look like up close and in person? I know I have. I mean, where did we get that drawing of the 5-point star anyways? Scientists have been able to take pictures of the stars and they look nothing like that. See, they're actually these big giant globes of super hot gases made of hydrogen and helium. And what happens is, in this process called
nuclear fusion,
the star is like a super hot oven that takes these hydrogen pieces and smacks them together to make helium. It's the only place in the universe that happens. Now, some stars out there, they're red and others are blue and some of them are white. And actually, believe it or not, some of the hottest stars of all are the blue ones. Now, the coldest stars are somewhere around 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But they can get as hot as 200 million degrees Fahrenheit. Now, I start sweating through my shirt at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so I can't even imagine how hot that would be. But I think it's incredible to realize that no two stars are exactly the same. And this actually reminds me of a story in the Bible about two brothers who looked very, very different. But they both got to see God keep a promise that He made using the stars. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've talked about a family of a man named Abraham. Now, God made some really amazing promises to Abraham in the Bible. He promised that He would give Abraham a son, and that He'd give him tons of kids and grandkids and great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids, as many as the stars, in fact. And then He promised to bless the whole world through that family. And God kept His promise. Abraham had a son named Isaac. And last week we talked about how Isaac married a girl named Rebekah. And Isaac and Rebekah had two sons, Jacob and Esau. Now, Jacob and Esau were twins, but they were totally different. Esau was this big, muscly, hairy guy who hunted and farted. But Jacob, he was more laid back. He was smart, and he liked to cook, and he wasn't hairy at all. In fact, his skin was kind of smooth. Now, Esau was born first, so he was the oldest son. That meant he got something called a birthright. And a birthright back then was a really big deal, because it meant that whoever got it would become the leader of the family, and they would get twice as much stuff as the other siblings. Now, for Esau, it also meant that he would get all the promises that God had made to Abraham and to Isaac. When Jacob and Esau were teenagers, their dad Isaac got sick. In fact, he was so sick that he started to worry that he was about to die. And so he wanted to announce to everyone that Esau would get the birthright. So Isaac told Esau,
Esau, my big, hunting, hairy son, go and find a wild animal and make some delicious food for me so I can give you my blessing before I die.
So Esau left and went hunting. Now, Rebekah, Isaac's wife, had been listening in. She heard Isaac's plan, and she wanted Jacob to get the birthright. So she came up with a plan to trick Isaac into thinking that Jacob was Esau. So Rebekah called Jacob over, and she said, "Your father told Esau to bring him some food, and then he's going to give him his blessing. But you're the one who should get the blessing. So we're going to pretend you're Esau. We'll dress you up in Esau's clothes, and you'll bring your father some food, and then he'll never know the difference. His eyes are so old, he won't be able to see you, and he'll give you the blessing." Now, Jacob knew that he shouldn't lie to his dad. And he knew that Esau was burly, muscly, and hairy and smelly. And he knew that he, Jacob, wasn't like that at all. He knew he was skinny and smooth-skinned. And so Rebekah convinced him to dress up like Esau. She put goat's hair on his arms, and she put hair on Jacob's neck like a big beard, so that Jacob, dressed like his brother, wrapped up in stinky goat hair, could take food and walk into Isaac's tent. Now, Isaac was really old. He had gone blind, so he couldn't see anything. And when Jacob walked into the tent and said, "Father," Isaac asked,
Yes? Who are you, my son?
and Jacob said, "It's me,
I mean, Esau. It's me, Esau, just bringing you some food so you can bless me. Just be an Esau over here."
Well, Isaac knew that something was off. But remember, he was blind, so he decided to feel his son's hands because he knew that Esau was hairy and he had rough hands. But Jacob's hands would be smooth. So he reached out and he felt the goat skins that Rebekah had put on Jacob's arms. And he said,
The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's.
and then Isaac said, "Bring me the food." And Isaac chowed down on the food that Jacob brought him. He loved it.
He said, "Come here and give me a kiss, my son."
And when Jacob leaned in near Isaac, Isaac could smell Esau's clothes on Jacob. Because remember, Esau was smelly. So Isaac got a good whiff of that BO, and he said,
"It is you."
and he gave Jacob the blessing that Esau was supposed to get. Now Jacob was going to get everything that Esau was supposed to have gotten, including God's promises. And after Isaac blessed him, Jacob jumped up and he ran out of the tent. And as soon as he left, Esau walked in. And he said to Isaac,
"Get up and eat. Then you can bless me, Father."
Well, Isaac didn't understand. He said,
Who are you?
and Esau said,
It's me, Esau."
and right then, Isaac understood. His son Jacob had lied to him. He'd tricked him and he'd gotten the birthright that Esau should have gotten. Esau was so angry. He swore that he was going to kill his own brother, and so Jacob had to run away. And for years and years, he lived far away from home in fear that his brother would find him. But after a long, long time, God told Jacob to come back home. And by that time, Jacob had married and he had a bunch of kids, and when he came home, Jacob found out that his brother, Esau, had forgiven him. And not only that, he found out that his dad, Isaac, he hadn't died. He was still alive. Jacob got to come home and apologize, and he got more time with his father and his brother. And even though Jacob lied, even though he'd made bad choices, even though he'd sinned, God still kept his promises. He still gave Jacob a ton of descendants, and he still used Jacob's family to bless everyone in the world, because Jacob's kids had kids, and they had kids, and they had kids, and they had kids, who became a great nation called Israel. And about 1,730 years later, a baby was born into that family named Jesus. And Jesus was God's son who came to earth and lived a perfect life. He never sinned. He never made bad choices. And then Jesus gave up his own life so that you and I could be forgiven when we make bad choices, and we can be friends with God forever. See, God kept all of his promises to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, because God always keeps his promises. God knew the big picture all along, and even when it looked like Jacob had messed it up, God had a plan, because he's good, and we can trust that. It's like a verse in the Bible, Romans 8:28 says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love him. God did that for Abraham and for Isaac and for Jacob. And we can trust that he wants to do it for me and for you even today.